Hey, how's it going? This may or may not be the first video in our new studio. Things have changed. 68 Breaks is now officially on vinyl. We made something that is going to outlive all of us. That means someone's going to find this in 100 years thrifting of the Salvation Army. They're going to see this cover and say, what is this? And hopefully be excited. This was pressed with the fine folks over at After Hours Records. Making this pack with Dan Bailey was one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences of my career at Wondertone. And to put it on vinyl says a lot, solidifying this to live on forever and ever. Now without further ado, I would love to show you how this sounds. So let's remove this Sun Raw vinyl. Nothing beats the way that tape and vinyl changes speed. When you slow things down and you speed them up, you're able to get such better pitch manipulation than anything digital could ever do in its wildest dreams. Let's hear it in action. I mean, it just makes you want to grab a guitar and jam, doesn't it? This here is a limited edition of just 50 copies pressed, with the option of doing more if there's more demand for it. They are $45 each. Clearance is only necessary for major label releases exceeding 1 million streams. Now to fit the entire pack onto this vinyl, we did have to remove a couple of the breaks. I will list them here. Just in case one of those is your favorite and you're expecting to hear it on vinyl, I would not want to let you down. I looked for breaks that seemed kind of redundant, so if two sounded similar, then I would just get rid of one of them. Now you know the drill. We recorded this with two separate signal chains, an all TX and an all Revox. So let me show you the difference. Revox. And TX. These drums, engineering, and playing were heavily inspired by late 60s production, so there should be a little bit of everything for everyone. You can always chop them up and reassemble them as you please, and at the very end is included a handful of one-shots, just by themselves, with that nice, crispy vinyl texture. And now what I'd like to do is show you the creation of this project, behind the scenes, if you will, at After Hours Records. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the process. It was nice for once to sit back and watch someone else do the work. But I had to get a closer look at the magic, as Ben educated me on all things waxy. I was a bit worried about loudness until Ben said,
Cool, so we got about 3 extra dB from where we were. I can zoom in here with the virtual microscope and kind of look for potential problem areas. We can visualize that here, and you're gonna see a lot of kind of potential problems. But that's just because it's a lot of kick drum in here all throughout. And every time that kick drum hits, the stylus has to go left to right to transcribe that. That's fine, we're gonna keep an eye out for that, but then stylus velocity. And you know what's interesting too is this side compared to the Revox, the TX has a lot more high end. So if we like bring it up, all these lighter areas is what we're looking at. Essentially that stuff right there, over there, over there. You can zoom up here and see it's 100% used. I mean, it's really interesting how this has a lot more high-end than the Reeboks one. So this is gonna be like right up to the end. It's gonna be sick. It was easy for me to get stuck on one, putting everything together on just one, like either the TIAC or the Reeboks, and then I'd switch, and immediately it was like, oh, like now I have to do everything over again. I was really trying to keep that in mind, you know, setting this up, because I think all today we've been listening to the Reeboks, but there isn't very big changes, just mainly in the low and high end. I might take off some high end compared to what I'm doing with the Reeboks. So we're gonna do a test cut now, one with the Reeboks, one with the TIAC, and get it right to the level that we want. So we're gonna start with the Reeboks, and then we're gonna move to the TIAC. Vacuum on. The software is telling us that we're cutting at a certain volume, and then I wanna make sure that the lathe is cutting at that same volume, because we got digital and we got analog here, and make sure that they're calibrated.
One of my main objectives was just making sure that the vinyl was going to be loud enough. In hindsight, I'm not sure how much of that really matters because you have a gain stage on your input when you're going in. So doesn't matter, I don't know. Noise floor, the amount of crackle. I didn't want it to be a necessarily clean vinyl. What's the point of that? Certain amount of crackle, not overbearing, but definitely there. A friendly amount, we'll say.
Trying to find the right volume in our test cut, so the values will change, they go up and down. But I ended at a really good place. So now I'm just gonna make sure that none of the grooves are smashing into each other. Like right here, this is a bunch of high frequency. The little zigzags are from hi-hat, cymbals, what have you. And then the long stuff is from bass. Bass, you know, is very long, spread out. At a certain point, if you really start to push it in volume, this turns into distortion. Each one of these nook and crannies has to be replicated by the playback stylus. It has to go through a bunch of it, or if they're at really sharp edges, that creates a distortion, a playback distortion essentially.
When you're in there cutting a record, there's a lot of technical jargon going on, and you just gotta sit there and listen and take it all in. Learning. Don't you think learning is cool?
Out with the old, in with the new. Starts with the fresh lacquer. All lacquer right now just comes from one manufacturer in Japan. I got quite the arsenal, quite the box right now. Reach in and grab a fresh lacquer. That's what it looks like. Go ahead and get rid of the little biscuits, as I call them. So there's a B side, which has the batch of the lacquer, and then there's like an A side. Only one side is QC'd for cutting. When this is done cutting, this will go in the box and we'll grab another. I'll go ahead and put this one on. So the next thing I'm gonna do is turn on the vacuum for the swarf tube. This sucks up the chip cut by the diamond while the lathe is cutting. That stuff needs to get sucked up, sucked out, and away from the heated stylus. The lacquer is very flammable. That's a little bit of a dangerous game we're playing here. Okay, records get pressed, but how do the grooves get on the record? This is how that happens. We're gonna move the cutter head now into its cutting position. We're not actually gonna be able to listen to this lacquer, so it's very delicate. If we're gonna drop the playback stylus and try to listen through, we would be degrading the grooves. With this lacquer, it's gonna get shipped off and then get a mold made out of it. You go, how are records made? And they go, oh, records are pressed, right? I think another reason why this is really cool, what we're doing today, is of course you get to see the first step. A lot of artists will go and they'll pick up their records from the pressing plant. That's the last step. The first step, where it all starts, is here. So there is a middle step, and that's called plating. Right here I have a plated master, essentially. And these are what they call the mothers. Basically a direct copy of the lacquer. So again, the lacquer can get a reverse mold made out of it, which we call the father. The father produces the mother, and then from the mother, we can produce stampers. That way, if anything happens to the stampers, we still have the mother. If anything happens to the mother, we have the father. And this all prevents me having to cut more lacquer. So now I'm gonna move the cutter head into position. Marked by the ruler right here, we have the different sizes. So I'm slowly going to move it to the desired position. All right, once I'm in place, I'm gonna unmute the cutter head. Now we can send signal. Our lathe is computer controlled by a proprietary software for this lathe. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that fired up. We're press return, and then you're gonna watch it drop. Ready?
Thank you so much to everyone who helped with this project. I couldn't have done it without you. That is Dan Bailey, the drummer, incredible drummer. That is After Hours Records. Thank you for pressing it. Matt from Trash Talk, thank you for making this connection and getting this ball rolling. Thank you to RTM for sending the tapes that was used to create the drums. There was a lot of hands involved. Ownership. This is going to come in the mail. You can loan it to a friend. You can loan it to a producer. Physical media, it's coming back, whether people like it or not, okay? I highly recommend After Hours. Nothing is going to beat having a human being making decisions that are best for your music. If you're into this thing, please consider checking it out. I'll put a link in the description. And here we are in this brand new chapter. We're in a new space. There's some new faces around that you'll be meeting and new instruments. All right, now let's chop and screw 68 breaks.